Good afternoon. We're so glad you could join us for this special concert entitled The Bells They Did Ring and the Music Did Play. We chose the title for many reasons. The words are a quote from the song Lost Lady Found, a folk song Percy Grainger set in the last movement of his masterpiece, Lincolnshire Posy. We'll play that piece today. That particular lyric is part of a tale that begins sadly, but then ends with happier reflections. This concert is a tribute to Matt Fishman, a dear friend who brought joy, enthusiasm, and commitment to everything he did, including his music making. Matt loved the music of Grainger. The concert title reflects that. This is a solemn occasion. Matt's untimely passing from brain cancer this summer was so tragic. But he left us so much wonderful music and happy memories. Felt it was important to celebrate that legacy with a concert of music connected to Matt. The bells they did ring, and the music did play. Our first selection has perhaps the least direct connection to Matt, other than I'm confident he would have enjoyed it, as this music is tuneful, has artful orchestration, and clear character, all attributes Matt would have appreciated. We hope you enjoy 3 short movements from Scenes from the Louvre, a Pulitzer Prize and Emmy Award-winning composer, Norman Delagioio. It's now my honor to introduce Matt's mother, Galina Fishman.
Thank you, guys. You're amazing. Thank you. Okay. Hello. My dear friends, I greet you all. I thank everyone who has gathered in this cozy hall and who is watching us on air. Our friends and family from 5 states of America, and also from Canada, Israel, Russia, Latvia, England, Germany, France, Italy, and probably somewhere else. Ooh, So, and this is what Matthew is all about. He was always surrounded by people, reliable friends, a loving fiance, orchestra colleagues, family, and numerous relatives. Matthew was very easy to love, always friendly, attentive, with constant smile on his face. It was easy and comfortable to be around him. And he was always like this. He was an ideal baby, cute toddler, problem-free teenager, a caring son, and attentive older brother. Someone will say, it's easy to be perfect when you're young, healthy, and handsome. But when Matthew was diagnosed with cancer and the disease began to rob him of everything he loved, it did not break him. It did not change his ideal perfect character. He still put the interest of others above him, above himself. He supported us. He never despaired and never complained. For the last 10 months of his life, I was with him 24/7. And every day, I witnessed the victory of human spirit over illness and physical weakness. It was very difficult. And I don't know how Matthew got the strength to continue the fight. But I know for sure that music played a major role in this fight. Today, we will hear his favorite pieces, the music that he listened to and played when everything was perfect, and the music that helped him not to give up. When the disease deprived him of the ability to speak and move his hands, he asked me with his eyes to put on his favorite melody, and we just listened, hugging, and we not longer hiding our tears from each other. They were the hardest and most precious moments of my life, and I will remember and treasure them forever. Matthew lived a short but incredibly rich life and left a vivid mark on the memory of everyone who ever knew him. And most importantly, he illuminated everyone with his kindness and love and sincere smile. Joy lived in his heart, and music and love. And let's remember him this way. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Galina. The next piece, we're going to begin now with music that is associated with Matt in a number of different ways. The next piece is one that Matt brought to our attention, and my colleague, Professor Allison Betzold, took Matt's advice and programmed it during Matt's second year here at Northeastern. It's an energetic and playful work, and it's kind of an indication of Matt's sense of humor, and we'll encounter that again later in the program. The piece is called Overture in 5/flat, and those of you who know about music, it's not because of the key signature. The title is actually a challenge to the ensemble to play the piece in 5 minutes or less, Overture in 5/flat. So it's kind of a musical race to the finish. To conduct the piece, please join me in welcoming to the podium Allison Betzold. Over the course of the concert, I wanted to share some thoughts that were offered by Northeastern students who made music with Matt. Here are some comments from Connor Barnes. Matt was a true inspiration to me as a fellow math major, musician, and conductor. He took a huge chance on me in my first semester by offering me, a barely qualified sax player, a spot in his pit orchestra for the new stage main stage show, Cabaret, which set me on a path to be a better generalist woodwind player. It was one of the most enjoyable performances of my musical career, and no small part due to Matt's direction and his love for the music. In that same semester, we performed Rachmaninoff's symphonic dances as part of the Dancing Winds concert program with the Wind Ensemble. Matt performed the alto saxophone solo in the first movement in a way that nearly made me cry when we performed it in concert. To this day, I can just as easily hear that performance and aspire to be able to express that much emotion in what otherwise was a technically straightforward solo. As I grew in my leadership roles with the NU Band's family, there were few places I went that hadn't been touched by Matt's legacy. He kept me in the unofficial role of social media coordinator on his council. He had begun the archive of music performances that I worked on as the librarian, and he directed chamber ensembles and the wind ensemble before I had even ever considered conducting the pep band. In many ways, Matt embodied someone who flourished in his musical environment and took advantage of every opportunity to leave a positive mark on the groups he performed with and often led. He was and still is a role model to me and all my colleagues, and he will be thoroughly missed. Thank you for those comments, Connor. Matt invested a tremendous amount of time and energy in getting to know all he could about the next piece and its composer. For his capstone project in music, he researched Percy Grainger's life and analyzed several of his pieces, including a few movements of our next selection. He wanted to learn all he could about how Grainger took folk songs and adapted them into colorful, imaginative, original compositions. Matt then went on to apply the techniques he discovered in his own composition, and we'll play that for you in the second half of the concert. And for now, we hope you'll enjoy these movements from Lincolnshire Posy, a landmark piece in the history of wind ensemble repertoire. Matt was incredibly active in Northeastern's music scene, playing with the Wind Ensemble and serving as its president for 2 years, and also in other roles in the group's council over his entire time here. He also conducted, led chamber rehearsals, and one of the main students ensuring that he and his peers were able to make music on campus through the pandemic. He conducted pit orchestras for New Stage, the musical theater group on campus too. But he also studied at New England Conservatory with the celebrated saxophonist Ken Radnofsky, who's with us today. And Matt played with NEC students in sax ensembles. So just days ago, I learned that Matt composed a cadenza to go with a Mozart concerto. And we're very fortunate to have 2 current NEC students here to perform this work. So to play the Allegro aperto movement from Mozart's Concerto K314 with a cadenza composed by Matt Fishman, please welcome Xinyi Liao and Doris Ho. Thank you so much, Shinyi and Doris. We'll just reset the stage and we'll continue. Another reflection from someone who made music with Matt here at Northeastern, Eden Gordon, who collaborated on numerous concerts with Matt and the Wind Ensemble, shared some thoughts which are in the program, but I'll read one of them here. She wrote, "I found Matt's consistent cheerfulness and positive attitude at every rehearsal so supportive, and it will continue to be the thing I remember most about playing with the Northeastern Wind Ensemble. While I will not remember everything Matt said, I will always remember how he made me feel." Thank you, Eden. On the second half of the program, in addition to playing more music associated with Matt, including his composition, The Rainbow, we'll be sharing some video of Matt's performances. To complete the first half of our program, we'd like to play a piece Matt performed with us in his very first concert here at Northeastern. Even as a first semester student, he was already our principal saxophonist right from the beginning. He was very proud of his Russian heritage, and we're proud to play the rousing finale to Tchaikovsky's Fourth Symphony. Before we continue with the music, it's my great pleasure to introduce someone who did just a tremendous amount of music making with Matt while they were both here as undergrads. It's my pleasure to introduce Victoria Dominguez for a few words.
Hello, everyone. I'm Victoria Dominguez. I played bassoon here in the Northeastern Wind Ensemble for several years. I believe 2 or 3 I overlapped with Matt. I don't really remember. I also had the privilege of continuing to work with Matt musically after we both graduated in local community ensembles, particularly the Charles River Wind Ensemble and the Metropolitan Wind Symphony. I just wanted to share a few words about Matt. I know it's been said by so many people so many times, but Matt was incredibly talented and gifted. I've been told before that, especially as artists, you shouldn't say that someone is talented because it could undermine the hard work that they put into being so good. Because to be talented, you have to have rigor, self-discipline, you have to put in hours and hours of practice. And yet, talented just seems like the only word that can really fit Matt and his playing, because if you ever heard him play, you'd think that he was born already knowing how to play the saxophone. He was that good, and his confidence and his talent just spoke for itself every time he played. He had its own beautiful, distinct style. And I'm incredibly fortunate to have been able to share those musical memories with him, particularly here in the Wind Ensemble. There was a memory that I shared with Matt that I had actually forgotten about as I was reminiscing upon my time with him and as we were leading up to this concert tonight. And I just remembered it a couple of days ago. And I would like to share it with you because I think it really encompasses his character and the type of person he was. In March of 2020, we were headed towards disaster a little bit, as we had just found out that there would be no real conclusion to that semester. I was set to graduate that May, and we were told a few days before suddenly having to evacuate campus that there would be no more music ensembles, no more coming together in any capacity, classes, ensembles, or otherwise. But we did have one final ensemble rehearsal here in the Wind Ensemble to conclude as much as we could. And the realization had really dawned on me that I would not play the bassoon one final time with my colleagues. We would not be able to have the closure we expected to have. And here in the Fenway Center, I started to cry. It was a little melodramatic, sure, and as I look back on that, it seems maybe inconsequential to be upset about missing a musical opportunity, given all of the tragedy that would transpire. But as I stood there weeping, Matt was next to me, and he didn't say anything, he didn't say a word, he just hugged me. And that was it. He just hugged me, and it's easy to say now that it's over-emotional, but at the time he seemed to understand and empathize with me and the feelings I was having, that I wouldn't get to play one last time with the group, and he gave me comfort, he validated those emotions, and it just felt so special. He didn't follow it up with any kind of it's gonna be okay, or don't worry about it, just a hug, and that conveyed all the emotion he needed to give me at the time. It was a beautiful memory, and I'm so glad to have had the time to share with Matt. And although his death is a devastating loss, I'm so happy we can continue to share his legacy through concerts like this. And thank you to Alan for organizing such a beautiful event. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those comments, Victoria. Matt loved Mozart. We heard that in the first half of the program, and Granger, and Gershwin. The next wind ensemble will play one of Gershwin's most famous works, An American in Paris. When I first saw the wonderful slideshow that Matt's mother prepared, I saw a photo of Matt and Elise when they traveled to Paris. And Elise has told me that Matt loved their visit there, which adds another resonance to American in Paris. Before that work, I want to share a video with you of Matt performing a solo encore, unaccompanied, from a concert he did much of the rest of the concert was with Andrew Lee. Andrew wrote, he said, Matt was such a gracious friend and extraordinary musical companion. I love how that's phrased. I couldn't agree more. So here now we'd like to share a video of Matt playing a fantasia on a work by Gershwin, the Gershwin Brothers song, Fascinating Rhythm. And following that, we will play An American in Paris.
One, two, three.
Before we go on, I wanted to take a moment to thank a number of people whose hard work this term has led to a productive, fun, and very musical semester. The Wind Ensemble's Council. Not only do they do a tremendous amount of work behind the scenes, they also create a very positive environment for music making. They coordinated the hosting of the wind ensembles of Boston University, Boston College, and Harvard for a successful festival we hosted a few weeks ago. I'd like to ask them to stand. Their president is Marin Way, and the council includes Elaine Chang, Griffin Michalak, Joshua Lee, Megan Kornberg, Evan Swanson, and Aidan Murphy. Please stand, and we give you a round of applause. I'd also like to take a moment to thank and acknowledge the one member of the ensemble graduating this term. It's actually her second time graduating, this time with a master's in engineering management after receiving her Bachelor of Science in bioengineering in the spring. She'll be going into the medical device industry. She's been a leader in the clarinet section for 8 semesters, and we'll miss her very much, and we're so grateful for all of her musical leadership and her just constantly upbeat attitude and approach. We want to say thank you to Shayna Teitelbaum. Before we get back to the music, I wanted to make sure you knew about the Matt Fishman Scholarship. This scholarship supports music students who are facing cancer and other extreme health challenges, either themselves or in their families. And it makes it easier, the scholarship makes it easier for them to continue their study of music. There's a QR code in the program. We hope you'll consider contributing to this scholarship fund. To share more about the scholarship, it's my pleasure to introduce Alan Ferry of the Race Cancer Foundation. Alan.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you to you guys as well. Show of hands, guys. How many of you knew Matt personally? Oh, wow, it's a lot more than I was expecting. Okay, well, get comfortable. This just got a little bit longer. I'm going to do the informal approach here because there's a lot of people here that knew Matt personally, and I want you to know why you guys can count on me and the organization that I started 15 years ago to help carry Matt's legacy forward. So, my dad was diagnosed with cancer when I was 13 years old in 1984. In 1988, I wanted to be a bike racer while my dad was fighting cancer. I think I was running away from what he was dealing with. And, excuse me, this guy, Alaric Gayfer, who's a British national cycling champion, kind of took me under his wing and helped me with expenses, with entry fees, with bikes. He helped take the pressure off me as I approached my senior year of high school, dealing with my dad dying of cancer. And I ended up going to Penn State. I actually kind of flunked out my first semester, took the next semester off. My dad died that semester that I was off on March 15th of 1990. I didn't have an opportunity to apply for scholarships, whether it was music or sports or whatever. There was no opportunity to apply for a scholarship because I was dealing with this crap at home. So now fast forward. So look at this chair right here. Right now, we're going to represent Matt with that chair, right? He's not here. He should be here with us. But that chair means more because when I met Matt in Memorial Day weekend 2023, at that point, he's been dealing with a brain tumor for less than a year. I'm at the Boston Calling Music Festival with the organization Race Cancer Foundation. We're there every year giving free sunscreen for all the participants because, it's a bunch of kids out in the sun for hours all day long. They always forget sunscreen, so we're there to provide it for them and help keep them sun safe and hopefully prevent skin cancer. So Matt sees my shirt. You can sound it out, right? And he asked me, so tell me about your shirt. He walks up to me, in fact, I think he was in a wheelchair at that point, right, Elise? Yeah, he was in a wheelchair. And he says, tell me about the shirt. And I told him about the organization. And he says, I asked him, like, what's your connection? I was like, well, I've got a glioblastoma. And my heart sank. Because that guy I told you about, Alaric, that helped get me into college and helped keep me going when my dad died, he died of glioblastoma. Oddly enough, Alaric died on Matt's 5th birthday, June 8th, 2004. So the moment I met Matt, I already had a connection. But now fast forward, it's spring of 2024. Matt's not getting any better. It's pretty obvious what's going to happen. I've seen this happen many times. And I reach out to Galene and I say, what do you think about starting some kind of tribute to Matt? Like, let's just brainstorm on ideas. And I propose the idea of a scholarship. And she says, Matt's birthday is coming up. At this point, I didn't know that Matt's birthday was June 8th. So on June 8th, we announced that the brewery that I'm involved with, Mighty Squirrel Brewing Company, I'm very good friends with the founder, was going to be releasing a beer with Matt's name on it. So, believe me, the story's going all over the place, but I'm going to bring it home momentarily. Okay, stay with me here. So I already talked about Alaric. I talked about Mighty Squirrel, this beer. The reason why I mentioned that beer is because one of the first things Matt said to me when I told him that I worked at Mighty Squirrel, was like, oh, I love their beer, Cloud Candy, but they need a non-alcoholic beer. And so for almost an entire year, Mighty Squirrel tried to get this non-alcoholic beer on the shelf with Matt's name on it before he died. Sadly, they didn't get it done in time because it's really challenging to brew a non-alcoholic beer. But the beer was released a few months ago, and it's called Endure, and it's fantastic. And it talks about Matt on the side of the can. It's brewed in his memory. And I'm telling you all this because I want you to understand that the Matt Fishman Scholarship is not just for kids that are dealing with cancer, either themselves or their families. Just like I wasn't a kid that was studying music like all of you guys or pursuing a career in music. I was just trying to be a bike racer. Matt was incredibly generous when we talked about his scholarship, and he said, any kid that's pursuing music, whether as a performer or a composer, whether it's cancer or something else, he wanted everyone to be involved. And this chair also represents the kids that didn't get into Northeastern because they couldn't afford to. And a small nonprofit like Race Cancer Foundation that probably none of you have ever heard of until today, unless you're a runner. That's really what we're known for here in Boston, producing running events to fight cancer. This organization, we have a commitment to help people like Matt's family and other families where the kids want to become a student, but maybe they can't afford it. Our mission is really pivoted since I met Matt. Matt really inspired me to change the direction of the organization. Instead of writing $20,000 checks to Dana-Farber and MGH Cancer Center, which we've been doing for years, they're not going to miss our money. They're getting millions of dollars a week. But families like Matt's family and other families, when we give them a check for $2,000 or $4,000 or $10,000, that's going to change the trajectory of that student's life. And I'm counting on all you guys. The Matt Fishman Scholarship, is anyone here from Alpha Kappa Sigma? All right, we've got some folks here from Alpha Kappa Sigma. Please give them a round of applause, because Alpha Kappa Sigma is the fraternity that Matt was part of here at Northeastern University. And they raised $22,000 for Matt's scholarship in 2 events. All right? Now, I'm guessing there's got to be at least 150 people in here. Maybe let's just go with 100 people. Right now, the scholarship is $1,400 shy of $30,000. All right? So Each one of you donates $14. We're going to get over $30,000 today. And I'd like to do that for Matt. This is a free concert, but I know there's a couple people that can probably afford to give $500, while there's other people, probably the students, that can't afford to make a donation right now. But you can go on Venmo. It's at Race Cancer. Make sure you look for the charity at Race Cancer. Or you can scan the QR code and make the donation there. But please, let's help us get to at least $30,000 today. Let's try to get to $50,000 by next year. Tell your friends, tell your family, share it for Matt. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Before we get back to music, we mentioned many different ensembles that Matt was involved with, and one that he was very, very serious about was the sax quartet at Northeastern. And we're fortunate now to hear some remarks from Hayden DeAngelis, who played in the sax quartet with Matt for a number of years. So please welcome Hayden.
Hey everyone, I'll try to keep this short so we can get back to the music. My name is Hayden. I was a Northeastern student, and I had the distinct honor and privilege of playing bari sax with Matt Fishman for 3 years, and I was also fortunate to call him a friend and a colleague for a short time at Wayfair. I remember first meeting Matt. It was the first rehearsal, a combined concert band and wind ensemble rehearsal for the Northeastern bands. And the audition piece for the wind ensemble that year, funny enough, was a page from Tchaikovsky's Fourth Symphony that you heard a bit ago. And seeing that page and the note density, the amount of 16th notes on that, did not make me feel very good about the current situation. But when I glanced over and I saw Matt's face for the first time, it was sort of like a reassurance that everything would be okay. And a lot of times, like sort of early in the college year, people will be like, extra friendly to each other and, show that extra smile or that extra piece of care to each other to make friends or get their semester off right. But one thing that I noticed is that Matt just never drop that smile, no matter how many months, years down the line it took. He inspired me to be the musician that I wasn't at the time. He sort of brought me under his wing and really inspired via his insane musical performances. If there anybody who saw 2018, his soprano saxophone solo on John Mackey's Red Line Tango might be my favorite solo ever. I mean, he just did things that I didn't think were possible on that instrument. His compositions, and notably what you're gonna see next was the sax quartet. When COVID hit, it was a time of struggle and uncertainty for a lot, but Matt sort of took a different approach and instead found everybody who would be in the Boston area as soon as possible and asked if we could play by any means possible. It's sort of a joke at Northeastern that the college gives you too much money for printing, like the printing dollars that are allocated. You could print up to 1,200 pieces of paper per semester at Northeastern, which is a lot. The only time I came close to that limit was when Matt just had so many ideas bouncing off the walls at the sax quartet, and we would just go after it weekly with all sorts of new compositions, arrangements that Matt had found, had written, had sort of pieced together. It was really incredibly special. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. One final remark, I looked before this concert at the last thing that I ever messaged Matt before his passing, and I said, I hope when you beat cancer, we'll be able to jam again someday. Unfortunately, we never made it there, but Matt, wherever you are, I hope you're jamming, and hopefully we can see each other in another place. Thank you.
So now we'd like to share a video of Matt playing with and leading the NU Sax Quartet, please.
That's going to be hard to follow, but we'll do our best.
Our current NU Sax Quartet would now like to play a piece that was inspirational for Matt. He enjoyed this particular arrangement, and we're pleased to share it with you. After tuning, the Sax Quartet will play Astor Piazzolla's Libertango. Fellow Northeastern musician William Cutler wrote me saying, in addition to being an excellent player, Matt was also a great leader. I remember his words of encouragement for me when we rehearsed my chamber music composition, Clarinet Quartet No. 2, which is when I was just starting out with composing. Even more meaningful was the opportunity to be a part of his project to compose The Rainbow. Hearing his process for creating it was fascinating, and his excitement in doing so was inspiring. So I mentioned in the first half of the program that Matt studied Granger, analyzed his compositional techniques. And there are a lot of details in the program about this, which I encourage you to read. But briefly, he applied what he discovered about how Granger composed to a folk song that Granger himself had recorded on a portable phonograph in the early 1900s. So it's a song that Granger collected from a folk singer but never used in one of his compositions. Matt then applied Granger's compositional techniques, creating really the most inventive, original work that sounds like a lost work of Granger's, while Matt's creative voice comes through. And the title of the song is The Rainbow. He scored this piece 2 different ways. First as a chamber piece, and then as a piece for full wind ensemble. The research and creative work and performance work he did on this project led to a prestigious award from the College of Arts, Media, and Design. And we're going to play the full wind ensemble version of this, but first I thought you'd enjoy seeing Matt play, conduct, because you haven't seen him conduct yet. You'd enjoy seeing him conduct the chamber version first, which actually features a few members of our current wind ensemble. So could we please share that video? Actually, let's tune before we... Before we play his piece, I want to share some personal reflections about this piece and Matt. I worked very closely with him on this project. I mean, he did all the work, but I had the pleasure of guiding him and responding. I'll just share. One of the wonderful things about playing classical music is the composer has written down their ideas. And with a little work, you and some musical friends can recreate the music, something that was in the imagination and the heart of the person who wrote it. And at its best, this kind of concert music is both a connection with the composer and a way of feeling and understanding that person through the ideas they were expressing, and then actually expressing those ideas and emotions yourself. So in performing Matt's work, today, I feel that we're all doing that, connecting with him in a special way. After a storm, you may see a rainbow. This piece is called The Rainbow. After a storm, you may see a rainbow, and it's a beautiful and fleeting thing. But when you see one and it disappears, you know that before too long, you may get a chance to see another one again, as long as you're open to keeping an eye out for it. So we'll play Matt's piece now, and it is fleeting, only a few minutes. But we will return to this beautiful work from time to time, which will keep Matt and his music and his creative spirit with us. So we hope you enjoy The Rainbow. thank you so much for joining us today. I just wanted to mention, I heard from so many musical friends of Matt's when corresponding about his passing and about this concert, many of whom are here today or are watching the live stream. Friends, other friends from the wind ensemble, members of the saxophone ensemble, the saxiderms that he played with, his fraternity, Alpha Kappa Sigma, NEC professors and students, numerous Northeastern professors. After our final selection, we'll have a reception at the back of the hall, and I hope you can stay and chat, say hello, and if you knew Matt, share your memories of him. For our final selection, we'd like to play a work that was very special to Matt. And his mother told you a little bit about this at the beginning. And she recounted that when he was losing his ability to communicate, he would request this piece. And Matt would say that it would get to him every time. It would get him every time. It was their comfort music and very emotional for them both. And we hope it brings comfort to you now too. So again, thank you all, and thank you, Matt. Please join us for a reception. Thank you.